Hello and welcome back. I would like to thank those who regularly visit the channel, watch the videos, comment and like, and of course those who subscribe. Please do tell your friends and those you know to subscribe to this channel. The purpose of this channel is to provide fact-based, authentic information on Netaji. My idea behind creating this channel is to bring in front of you various facets of Netaji's life, his work, and of course the mystery surrounding his disappearance. You know that Subhash Chandra Bose was a very complex personality, and in his public life till 1945 and in his life post 1945, there are a lot of rumors, lot of beliefs which have clouded the reality. My effort is to remove those cobwebs of rumor, belief, false information, misleading information, and bring out the authentic information which is based on facts which can be proven. And it is one of those rumors, beliefs that I would like to take up today, which actually has become a hurdle towards establishing the truth that Subhash Bose came back to India and lived here for the rest of his life. And this again is a clash between belief and evidence. I have been saying the same thing for many years now, that belief and evidence are two different things. You might like to believe something, I might like to believe something, but our beliefs don't become fact just because we like them. A lot of friends have forwarded me a link to a video which was put up on YouTube very recently by a very well-known astrologer, claiming that Netaji is still alive and that he will be back very soon and do a lot of fantastic things and then probably leave his mortal body or whatever. Now, there are various problems with this kind of approach. Firstly, it is very, very important to understand that what we are dealing with is a very, very serious issue. If we mix fantasy with facts, then we will never achieve what we have set out to achieve. What have we set out to achieve? Our aim is to have the official acceptance of the fact that Subhash Chandra Bose did not die in the plane crash in 1945 as is alleged, as is still given out officially by the government, but that he survived the plane crash and he came back to India and lived here till 1985. As you know, that various commissions have been set up by the government and they have looked into this issue. And in front of these commissions, various outlandish claims have been made. A lot of people have claimed in front of these inquiries that they have been in touch with Netaji at various places around the world. A lot of people now claim that Netaji is still alive and is doing sadhana in the Himalayas. Some say that he is in Gyanganj. Now, Gyanganj is a very interesting issue. People talk about Gyanganj, particularly in social media, as if it is it's a neighborhood area, that they are masters who know the in and out of Gyanganj and they know every character who lives there and whatever they are doing. So what's the problem? The problem is this, that when you make claims like this, that Netaji is still alive, and you take it to official inquiries, you make their task easy to trash even legitimate claims. And that is exactly what is happening even today. Whenever we try to bring logic, facts, evidence into the discourse, into the narrative, there are a group of people who come at us saying that we are playing into the hands of the government by saying that Netaji died in 1985. That we are betraying his cause, that we are betraying Netaji by saying that he died in 1985, because for them Netaji is still alive somewhere doing sadhana or doing whatever But when we turn around and ask for evidence, what kind of evidence do they provide? Have they come in touch with Netaji after 1985? No. Do they know exactly where he is? No. How do they know that he is alive? Because some guru, some Baba, somebody has said it. Somebody has cited it somewhere in Nepal, Bhutan, China, Japan, wherever, somewhere has seen him. They can never prove it. And yet they hold on to their beliefs. Now, these beliefs, as long as they are individual beliefs, there is no harm. You want to believe something, it is entirely up to you, and you have every right to believe what you want to believe. But if you thrust that belief as a matter of argument and make that the ultimate truth, the problem starts there. But even then, people who are well-meaning, they tend to hold on to this belief. And what is the result? When Justice Sahai was looking to establish or to find out the identity of Gumnami Baba, it was a farce. We said that as soon as the inquiry started operating, we understood that it was a farce and we opposed it. But how its work was made easy? One disciple of Bhagwanji went from Kolkata, and the first thing he told the judge was that Gumnami Baba, who was Subhash Chandra Bose, did not die on 16th of September 1985. And it made the Justice Sahai's work very easy. Justice Sahai wrote in his report that this person says that Gumnami Baba did not die on 16th September. So this person is talking about an entirely different man. He is not talking about Gumnami Baba. So his whole evidence, his whole affidavit and deposition, it becomes meaningless. So just because he wanted to harp on that, this disciple wanted to harp on that single fact that Bhagwanji did not die on 16th of September 1985, all the relevant information that he provided became irrelevant, and it became easy for the judge to trash everything important that he had to say. That's what happens. Now, to those who hold on to this belief that Netaji is still alive and he will come back, for example, for this astrologer. Now, astrology is not something that is accepted as evidence in our courts. So again, it's a belief versus evidence clash, and we have to be on the side of facts and evidence, not on the side of belief. Now, on the point that Gumnami Baba or Bhagwanji did not die on the 16th of September 1985, a number of objections have been raised by different people. Now, most of these objections come from lack of information and lack of knowledge about the whole issue. People tend to argue without studying the facts, and it will become clear as we go one by one over these objections. So let's take the first objection, first argument, that there was no eyewitness. That's absolute rubbish. There were eyewitnesses who saw Bhagwanji's death and his cremation. There was Dr. Priyabrat Banerjee, who was present at the time of Bhagwanji's death. He was present there along with Dr. R.P. Mishra, and he told the Mukherjee Commission very clearly that he not only was present at the time of Bhagwanji's death, but also saw his body the next day. The same thing was has been said by Mrs. Rita Banerjee. She saw the body the next day, and she told us that people just were coming and going, and while Bhagwanji's body was there were plenty of people, number of people who saw his body. And the Banerjee family were one of the few people who had access directly to Bhagwanji, and they saw his face a number of times. And neither Dr. Priyabrat Banerjee nor Rita auntie have any doubt about the identity of the person who died. Who else saw his body? The two most important people who have been with Bhagwanji from the mid 1950s were Saraswati Devi and her son Rajkumar Shukla. Unfortunately, Saraswati Devi passed away before she could depose in front of the Mukherjee Commission, and we didn't have a chance to have her version directly. But she was there at the time of Bhagwanji's death, and she took care of the body after his demise. But we could speak to Rajkumar Shukla, Saraswati Devi's son, and you can see the full video on my YouTube channel. The full video in 2 parts are there. It's a lengthy interview, and you can see the details. But what matters here is what he said, what he told us about the identity of the person who died on the 16th of September 1985. Rajkumar Shukla and Saraswati Devi had no doubt that it was the same person with whom they were living from about 1955.
16 सितंबर की रात में भगवान जी का शरीर छोड़ा उन्होंने। हाँ। मैं यहाँ था। हाँ। अम्मा वहाँ थी। हाँ। एक कंडक्टर ने रात में 4 बजे आकर के यहाँ सूचना दी। मैं 6 बजते बजते वहाँ रामपुर पहुँचा। मैं जब वहाँ पहुँचा तो भगवान जी की डेड बॉडी वहाँ पे रखी हुई थी।
अंदर या बाहर?
कमरे से बाहर।
कमरे से बाहर।
कमरा है, कमरे से बाहर, क्योंकि मेरे पहुंचने में 6 बज गया ना, तो वहाँ पे डेड बॉडी उस पर रखी हुई थी, वहाँ पे वो जो बरामदा, बाद में फिर बाहर ला के रखी हुई। तो वहाँ पहुँचने के बाद अब यह बिल्कुल ही दिमाग से हटा दिया जाए कि बॉडी वो नहीं थी। लोग हमसे कभी कभी इस तरह का प्रश्न करते हैं। मेरी अम्मा 1 सेकंड वहाँ से नहीं हटी। या तो मैं वहाँ पे रहा हूँ, अगर मान लीजिए कहीं टॉयलेट वगैरह जाना होगा, और मेरी अम्मा छोड़ी नहीं। अम्मा उसी तरह से रोती थी जैसे कोई बेटा मर गया।
और 4 महीने तक यहाँ घर पे आई, रोती ही थी।
और 4 महीने लगातार मेरी अम्मा रोती रह गई।
हमेशा रोती थी सवेरे।
तो ऐसा अगर कोई भ्रामक प्रचार करता है तो गलत है। तो यह तो है ही नहीं कि परिवर्तन हुआ हो या कुछ इधर उधर की बात हुई, ऐसा तो कुछ कर सकते। हम आपको एक चीज़ और बताना चाहते हैं कि जब उनकी अंत्येष्टि हुई, हाँ, वो पैर घाट पे, हाँ जी, गोपनीय ढंग से हुई। उसमें 5 लोगों ने दान किया, जिसमें आरती मिश्रा थे, राय थे, बनर्जी थे, राय भी दिए, एक मैं 4 और एक रामकिशोर जी पंडा।
So that's about eyewitness. Who are the other eyewitnesses who saw Bhagwanji and also saw that it was the same person whose body was cremated? Panda Ramkishore Mishra and his 2 sons. Panda Ramkishore Mishra had no doubt about the identity of Bhagwanji. He had seen him, and he was the first disciple after Bhagwanji's death to come out and claim, to make the statement that Bhagwanji, Gumnami Baba, was none other than Subhash Chandra Bose. Panda Ramkishore with his 2 sons attended the cremation, the funeral, and while taking the body to the cremation ground, saw the face again, and they were satisfied that it was the same person, and they have it on record. Panda Ramkishore's audio interview is also present in this channel, and we met Panda Ramkishore's family, his wife and his 3 sons, and they told us the same thing, that it was the same person who died. They had no doubt about the identity of the person whose body was being cremated. It was Bhagwanji, it was Gumnami Baba, whom they had known for so many years.
जी हाँ, बाकी को देखा था, चेहरा हटा के देखा, बस वो मुड़वारी थी, बस वो हटा दिए, तो विकृत तो हो गया था उनका चेहरा।
3 दिन की बॉडी
जब आ गया था, लेकिन व्यक्ति वही था जिसकी सेवा हम लोग कर रहे थे।
बॉडी उनका ही था।
बॉडी उनका ही
तो
था।
फिर वो वही बॉडी जलाया गया।
वही बॉडी जलाया गया।
मतलब इसमें कोई शक नहीं है कि उन्हीं की मृत्यु हुई और उन्हीं की बॉडी जलाई गई।
Who else? Ravindra Shukla. Ravindra Shukla was present there, and he also saw the face. He knew it was Bhagwanji's body. He has no doubt.
तो शक्ल आपने कभी नहीं देखी, गलती से भी नहीं देखी?
नहीं, जिंदा रहने पर नहीं देखी, लेकिन जब डेथ हो गई तो देखा ही नहीं।
कैसे, वो बताइए जरा, एक्सपीरियंस कैसा रहा, कैसे देखे?
दाढ़ी थी, यहाँ पे वो था, बाल बहुत पीछे हल्के से थे, दाढ़ी थी बड़ी बड़ी, बहुत बड़ी नहीं लेकिन थी दाढ़ी, और चेहरा हम लोगों ने मिलाया भाई, वो तो बाद में एक जिज्ञासा होती ही है, तो बिल्कुल चेहरा सेम था।
किसके साथ?
नेताजी से मिलता है।
बिल्कुल मिलते थे।
हाँ।
कोई शक नहीं।
कोई शक नहीं। अरे माता जी उनके साथ इतना दिन रही है, 50 साल। माता जी ने भी यही कहा कि हाँ, ये जो आप मिसाल बोलते हैं कि मैंने बॉडी बदल दिया, मैंने ये कर दिया, ये सब फालतू अनर्गल बातें हैं।
उसी बॉडी का दाह संस्कार किया गया।
जी।
तो आपने कैसे, मतलब ऐसे बॉडी रखा हुआ था, आपने देख लिया या चद्दर हटा के?
चद्दर हटा के देखा।
आपने अकेले देखा था या और?
नहीं, सभी लोगों ने देखा था, हमने देखा था, डॉक्टर राय ने देखा था, सभी लोगों ने देखा था।
There was another person, Dr. B. Rai. Dr. B. Rai doesn't speak publicly, so he doesn't give interviews and doesn't speak publicly on this issue, so we don't have his version. But it is on record that Ravindra Shukla and Dr. B. Rai went to Kolkata on the 19th of September in 1985 to inform Pavitra Mohan Roy and his family and other disciples of Bhagwanji in Kolkata. So if Dr. B. Rai was not sure that it was Bhagwanji who had died, he wouldn't have gone. So both Dr. B. Rai and Ravindra Shukla's statement is on record. He deposed in front of Justice Sahai. We have his statement on record, and there is no doubt, there is no element of doubt. Now, what about Dr. R.P. Mishra? Many arguments are given that Dr. R.P. Mishra said that it was not Bhagwanji who died, the body was changed, and Bhagwanji actually went away somewhere else and another dead body was cremated. Well, for those who present this argument, let me tell you something that you miss out on. Dr. R.P. Mishra has never accepted the fact on record that Bhagwanji was Subhash Chandra Bose, that Gumnami Baba was Netaji. To the Mukherjee Commission, he said that people confused his identity with Netaji. To Sahai Commission, Dr. Mishra said that Bhagwanji was like his own grandfather and he was not Netaji. So for a person who doesn't even accept the fact that Bhagwanji, Gumnami Baba, Netaji, Subhash Chandra Bose were the same person, it really doesn't matter what he says. We don't even know who he is talking about. And he has deposed in front of both Mukherjee Commission and the Sahai Commission, two official inquiries where he could have put forth clearly the facts. He didn't. For him, Bhagwanji was an incarnation of Shiva. For him, Bhagwanji was a spiritual person like his grandfather. And well, whatever he says about cremation, about going away, it becomes completely irrelevant. There is another person whose affidavit to the Mukherjee Commission is brought up, and his views are brought up as kind of objection to our understanding that it was Bhagwanji who died on 16th September 1985. It is Shakti Singh. Now, Shakti Singh in his affidavit to the Mukherjee Commission said that Bhagwanji moved away from Faizabad, from Ram Bhavan, and it was somebody else's body which was cremated. And when he was questioned on this is on record, as you can see on the screen, he said that it was not his direct knowledge. He had made this claim on the basis of rumors, on the basis of stories he had heard from people. And probably that is the reason why in the memorial which he has set up near Guptar Ghat at the place of Bhagwanji's cremation, where the date of death is not given, instead question marks are used. A huge number of people keep asking us the same question, that why are there question marks instead of having 16th September 1985 as the date of death? Well, firstly, we did not set up the memorial, so we cannot answer for that. As far as Shakti Vaisab is concerned, it may be his belief or whatever his thoughts are, it is for him to answer. Now there are some a little extra clever arguments which come that there is no death certificate, there is no cremation certificate. This is funny actually. I mean, death certificate, really? Death certificate in whose name? I mean, who will issue a death certificate for a man who had been hiding his identity for more than 40 years? In whose name would the death certificate be issued? Gumnami Baba? If it was written Gumnami Baba, would these people who raised the objection on the basis of lack of death certificate, would they accept it? Then they would argue that Gumnami Baba doesn't mean anything, it could be anybody. If it was issued in the name of Bhagwanji, it could have been anybody. If it is issued in the name of Sri Swami, the name which we find on the letters written to him, it could have been anybody. Do they really expect that the people, his disciples, Bhagwanji's disciples who were there on the ground in Faizabad, in Ram Bhavan, they would go and get a death certificate issued in the name of Subhash Chandra Bose in 1985, knowing full well that he was living incognito, that he was not going public with his identity, and he was not stepping out into the larger society? Does it even make sense? And that is the dilemma which they faced. We find it from the affidavit given by Ravindra Shukla to the Sahai Commission, that this question of getting a highly qualified doctor probably from Lucknow or taking Bhagwanji to Lucknow during the last hours of his life was discussed, and it was shot down by Dr. R.P. Mishra, because that, according to Ravindra Shukla's affidavit, Dr. Mishra said that for a person who has been hiding his identity for the last 40 years, it is not even conceivable that they should take him to Lucknow or some other place and expose him. So where is the question of having a death certificate? Where is the question of having his name on a death certificate for a man who has been so secretive, for a man who has been so diligently, so fiercely guarding his identity and his even existence? To even ask that question is ridiculous. As far as cremation certificate is concerned, Dr. P. Banerjee gave the answer. He said that it was not in vogue and the question didn't even arise. It was not an usual practice. But what they did, what these 13 disciples did, what Dr. R.P. Mishra did, was an act of daring. They took his body and cremated it at a place surrounded by military areas, cantonment, on a very sacred spot where no cremation is permitted. That by itself is a declaration. Had it been just any Tom, Dick, Harry whose body was identified by just a group of odd people, do you think they would have stayed outside the bars? Do you think the police would have let them go? Do you think the army cantonment authorities would just ignore it? So the question of cremation certificate here is completely irrelevant. No death certificate, no cremation certificate, and they are not even material to this issue. To ask for proof of death in the form of death and cremation certificate is just lack of intelligence. And it is important to remember that the people who question Bhagwanji's death in Faizabad in 1985 are those who were not in Faizabad. This question, this doubt is raised and spread by people who were sitting in Kolkata or some other place. People in Faizabad have no doubt. They were eyewitnesses. They have spoken, they have written, they have deposed in front of commissions. There is no doubt in their mind. The doubt is in the minds of people who didn't go to Faizabad even after being informed. So they sat in Kolkata and spread this rumor based on one letter which they purportedly received from Bhagwanji in August that year, just a month before, probably a month and a half before his death. Apparently this letter, which was sent to Pavitra Mohan Roy, said that the disciples in Kolkata should not contact Bhagwanji until and unless they are specifically asked to. They should stay away. And after a month and a half, they get the news of Bhagwanji's death. They have construed this letter as the evidence that Bhagwanji moved away from that place, from Faizabad, by faking his death, by getting another body to be cremated and creating another smoke screen, just like was done in Taihoku in 1945. Now, again I say that that is a matter of interpretation, that is a matter of belief. The letter which now is lost, nobody has seen it anymore. That letter, if it said that don't contact me till I ask you to, does not mean that I am going away from this place. There could be 100 reasons. The problem with the disciples, associates of Bhagwanji in Kolkata, is that they think that they knew each and every aspect of Bhagwanji's life. They refuse to believe that Bhagwanji was much more than what he showed them to be. That Bhagwanji was not entirely dependent on them, or he was under no compulsion to show the full picture of what was going on in his mind, what he was scheming, what he was planning to them. So there was no direct admission from Bhagwanji or instruction from Bhagwanji or any information from Bhagwanji that he was planning to move place. But that was the interpretation. That interpretation is entirely done by the group of disciples in Kolkata. It is not a direct message or direct information. He might have meant anything, because it was not customary for Bhagwanji to inform every time he moved place. We see from Bhagwanji's letter written to Pavitra Mohan Roy in 1974 that when he moved away from Basti, back to Ayodhya, he did not even inform his disciples in Kolkata. They were informed later. There are other instances. So it was not that Bhagwanji would inform every bit of his movement, every bit of his actions to this group of people. They were definitely close to him. They were definitely involved with him. But it is not that they knew everything about him. Bhagwanji was much bigger, much complex, and much more than what they could perceive. And all this confusion starts because they delude themselves to believe that they knew everything about Bhagwanji, which is not the fact, which is not the case. None of us, we have come much later. We are relying on secondary information. They had direct contact. Most of them had direct contact, and probably that led them to believe that they know everything. But at least we can stand back and see more dispassionately, more objectively, that what is in front of us in the form of this man, in the form of his activities, is huge. And that is serious. If this man is talking about his involvement in the China war, his involvement in the 1965 Indo-Pak war, his involvement in fomenting the Bangladesh liberation war, and various other international issues, and he's talking about domestic politics and everything, this is serious stuff. It needs to be brought out. And if you continue to dilute that effort, such serious stuff, by saying that he is still alive and he will come back and do fantastic things, like the Kalki Avatar, he will come back on the horseback and direct wars against China and Pakistan and do this and do that. Well, it is your belief, you are entitled to your imagination, But for God's sake, don't bring it on into the mainstream argument and damage the case. Because you need to understand one thing. Because those who claim that Bhagwanji is still alive, Netaji is still alive, and he changed places and has gone to Gyanganj, has gone to Himalayas, he's here, he's there, doing this thing, that thing, sadhana, this, that, and getting supernatural powers, becoming Kalki avatar and all. Those people need to remember one thing, that if what they say, what they claim is true, then Bhagwanji doesn't need their intervention or their opinion in the public domain. Bhagwanji doesn't need their help, support, or anything. It's better to keep their beliefs to themselves. Unless you can come out and prove that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose is still alive. Please show us the proof. No one would be happier than us. I would personally drop everything and go and meet him the moment somebody gives me the definite information of where he is, what is going on. But unless you have that evidence, unless you have that proof, please, for God's sake, don't come up with this ridiculous stuff claiming that he is alive and coming back with supernatural powers and do this and do that. Your religious guru, your spiritual guru, some astrological gurus, well, people who don't have any stake in this, who don't have anything to prove, they can make fantastic claims and get away with it. They are free to do it. But it's up to you to decide whether you want to just throw away your basic intelligence, basic human rationality, and keep parroting this absurd thing. We all like to believe supernatural stuff. Supernatural stuff is thrilling, it's charming, it's fantastic. And I mean, who doesn't want them to come true? There are 7 immortals in our pantheon. And I would personally be so happy to see them, meet them. I would like to someday meet Vyasdev. I would someday like to meet Hanumanji. I would like to see Ashwatthama. I would like to see Kripacharya. But can somebody tell me? Can somebody establish that they are alive and they are living at so and so place? It's very easy to say that they are living in some spiritual plane, some Gyanganj A, Gyanganj B. Gyanganj is in the Tibet, Gyanganj is near Narmada, somewhere on the Narmada course. You can say 1,000 things and they are very easy to say as long as you don't have to prove anything. But to pretend that that is the absolute truth is just ridiculous. We take religious information, we take scriptural information. It is a matter of a different plane, different zone. We cannot mix that into the politics, legalities, science of this age in the society, in the limited sphere that in which we have to operate. So don't dilute by bringing in stuff that cannot make any sense of what we are trying to do. That Subhash Chandra Bose was alive and he came back to India and he was probably involved in international politics, doing things from behind the scene, is a serious matter, and we cannot let that be diluted. We cannot give a chance to the government or the doubters, the skeptics, to raise their finger and say that these are a bunch of crackpots who make these claims. We have to follow strictly the path of evidence and facts, things that we can prove. We have to be rational. Even if we cannot directly prove something, at least it has to be logical, it has to be rational. I hope you will understand what I have been trying to say and you will agree with me. We'll come back with another topic in the next video. Till then, goodbye. Jai Hind.